Moline's long-term vision to revitalize the city's downtown is now a lot clearer. The focus shifts into making those dreams a reality. MKSK Consulting presented its final riverfront vision plan to Moline City Council in the middle of June. It was initially expected at the beginning of the year. The plan utilizes several acres of land that opened up after the demolition of the old I-74 bridge. These renderings show plans for mixed-use residential and commercial property, plenty of space for parks with an outdoor amphitheater, a hotel, and a few parking structures. Moline city leaders and the people who live there now have a clearer picture of what the downtown could look like with that report from the consultants. One of those very interested parties is Mayor Sangeetha Rayapati. She joins us for a conversation this morning. Welcome back to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Definitely. Now, this report from the consultants came several months later than initially expected. Was it worth the wait? Do you think the information presented should have come earlier?
Oh, I think it was absolutely worth the wait. We got so much, if not absolutely everything we asked for. We took our time to do the preliminary research we needed to do. We had really good conversations between staff and those consultants. So we're very excited to see the plan that's come forward.
There are a lot of things included in the riverfront vision plan I mentioned earlier. What part of the plan do you personally like most?
Oh, I love the sense of activation, not only with people who would come and visit for just a short amount of time, but also the major residential piece of that, right? The little neighborhood that they've been able to add in there. And so I'm excited for all the activation that's obvious in the plan.
The renderings certainly are ambitious. How feasible do you see all of this?
You know, I think we're on a roll. There is a lot of interest in Moline and investing in Moline, and we are really privileged to have some really valuable and talented staff at the helm of that economic development management. So I'm really excited to see who comes to the table to help us get this done.
So where does the city go from here to make this happen, bring it to reality, fruition?
Yeah, well, we do have a first phase of sort of prepping the area infrastructure. And as we've reported previously, we did apply for a build grant. Haven't heard about that for $6 million to help with that. The city continues to very carefully plan our finances so that we can kick things off, have partners, have matching dollars, all those kinds of things that we need to have a successful redevelopment. And so really it starts with infrastructure and making sure we have investors at the table.
When do you expect to hear about that build grant specifically?
They delayed it, so we really don't have an idea, but we hope it's very soon.
As you mentioned, clearly this will take investment from developers to realize this vision. They have to invest. What feedback are you getting from investors now that this plan has gone public in such detail?
You know, I leave a lot of that work to our staff, but I was able to meet with someone who was just interested in knowing more of what was going on, introducing themselves, and you know, they saw the pitch packet and they really thought it was amazing. So there is really good interest so far.
So I know this is still a long ways out because you talked about the infrastructure work certainly have to be done first, and of course the developers. When you think about it though in the long term, when should people of Moline expect to see this start to take shape and possibly a time to be done?
Well, I did ask about you know, when we might see a shovel in the ground, and they said probably in a year. It's going to take a little bit of time to continue to get everything in place and do it right. So it will happen. It's going to happen. But the farther timeline of completion, you know, we couldn't possibly give you a definitive time at the moment.
Yeah, clearly there have to be a lot of different phases for this because there are so many different sections to it. It is your job, along with the Economic Development Coordinator, I guess, to plan for best and worst case scenarios. What challenges do you see, if any?
You know, we're always concerned about the cost of all the supplies, right? You know, if tariffs have us taking a big hit on the cost of some of those things, supply chain issues that can delay things sometimes. But we are moving forward with a lot of confidence because we've put a lot of things in place. As you may know, the city has been saving in a special projects fund for these kinds of things because we don't want to have the community feel the impact, you know, when everything does kick off. It needs to be fairly seamless from a financial standpoint. So that's what we're prepared for.
What kind of impact do you see this having on the city long term once it is finally finished?
You know, I truly believe that the work that every city in the Quad Cities is doing on not just their downtowns, but improving the quality of place and the economy here is going to help the Quad Cities as a whole not be flyover country anymore. That's really an ultimate goal, right? To have growth, to have interest in people living and working here in higher numbers than they are currently. So I think that's going to be an ultimate impact, is a lot more residents and a lot more visitors to the Quad Cities.
Let's switch quickly to something from City Council earlier this week. That is the Path Forward program to help people who are recovering from addiction. Moline is using its share of the opioid settlement money to help these people who live in the city manage their lives better. They can get up to $5,000 to pay for things like rent and groceries, among other things. Moline got $80,000. We know this money won't magically make addiction disappear. What is the likelihood, though, Moline will be able to keep doing this in the future, or is it just a one-time thing?
At this point, it's a one-time thing. You know, it's really up to the City Council when and if we continue programs that get started as a pilot or as a one-time thing because of the funding source. So it all remains to be seen for the council.
Moline Mayor Sangeetha Rayapati, always appreciate the time you spend with us. Good luck with everything in the city.
Thank you so much.